Hello, my name is Legend and welcome to 2020. Yes, another year has passed and now another kind of update video has arrived. And a very special one because this one contains quite some milestones. This is because this video is not only the first video of 2020, this video is also my 200th published video on my YouTube channel. And featuring right now in the background is my 20,000th battle played about a month ago. This battle is in my first tier 10 tank, the mouse, and on top of that, even though I don't really give a lot of value to WN8 anymore, it's very coincidental that in my 20,000th battle I achieved the total amount of 2020 WN8. You can't make this up. I have a lot of things to talk about in this extra special video because we're going to take a look back on what I discussed in my first video of 2019 and my 100th video. This will include how World of Tanks as a game has fared over this year, mainly focusing on the promises that Wargaming gave us, how I personally got through the year and if I'm still having my resolution, and what 2020 has to hold for pretty much everything, World of Tanks, my life and this channel. So let's get right into it. So, World of Tanks in 2019. So a year ago, Wargaming published the article What's Coming in 2019, where they list a ton of promises for this year. And quite some big promises, really impactful game changers in my opinion. But did they really check everything off that list? And of the ones that did, was it any good? Insert sarcastic spoiler here. But for real, last year I said I've lost all faith in Wargaming actually improving the game. So have they changed my mind? First of all, premium ammo rebalancing. Not done. So this one they did not even achieve to implement it in the game as of right now. They went absolutely haywire on the first idea on just nerfing the damage of premium rounds. Instead they buffed pretty much everything else, both HP of tanks and AP damage. I did say last year that this would mean a lot of rebalancing to all tanks, especially super heavies who gain an indirect buff out of this change, but the HP buff is not enough to make that rebalancing work. And to top it off, they nerfed the HE rounds by removing their penetration values, which does make some of the lower caliber guns more interested for HE use, but it makes the game more boring to eliminate quite a fun mechanic on high caliber guns. I mean, don't get me wrong here, I absolutely want far less RNG in the game, but from all those RNG elements you can choose Wargaming, you chose the specific one which was quite honestly the most fun. Of course this is good when you are talking about tanks like Type 5 Heavy, but you also crushed the KV-2, which is a very popular tank that wasn't OP at all, because the problem mainly with the Type 5 Heavy is not the gun, but is the combination of the gun and its ridiculous armor. In general, this change, which is kind of necessary, but it's going kind of the wrong direction. So next, the quote-unquote improved matchmaking. I'm kind of neutral on this one. They did successfully introduce at least the new templates in combination with a switch in matchmaking probability of being bot, mid or top tier. And even though now you face less against top tier and that horrible 3-5-7 matchmaking, you'll face most of the time same tier, but you will still be a lot less top tier than bottom tier, which because of the new matchmaking will be even worse if you face off not against 3 top tiers, but sometimes 4, or if you're very unlucky even 5, which makes this change kind of neutral to me. It's not bad, but it's like making something very shit a little bit less shit. but it's still shit, because +2 matchmaking in the current meta with all the stronger tanks is actually the main part of the frustration which comes to it, and the main critical point towards the matchmaker. Then Frontline, and Frontline has failed. So last year I was very optimistic but also naive about how fast it would went boring. With only one map for half a year, I was already done with the game mode after 1 week of playing. Beforehand it really was an escape from that horrible matchmaking, but now it's kind of the same for tier 8 in the random queue, where nowadays also the majority is all same tier. We did get a new map half a year later, but first of all it was broken. If you didn't have any reserve tanks left, you could wait for several minutes, and on some point the menu would pop up, but it wouldn't. So you have to wait another 1.5 minutes until a automatic picked tank gets into the battle. And it was also harder to attack on the newest map. But in contrary, the first map was very hard to defend, and I found in another article that they wanted to make some balancing changes to this first map, but they never came. So with only 2 maps, which created boredom very quickly, and both maps being unbalanced, this game mode has definitely been ruined for me this year. Vehicle rebalancing semi-passed. Although the IS-4 and E100 are still not rebalanced, which they really needed due to lack of popularity, the tanks that did underwent rebalancing fared pretty well. The Leopard 1 became a good sniping medium, the Krung 1 became a more unique vehicle and not underwhelming compared to the T57 Heavy, and the STB-1 got that new hydro-pneumatic suspension. So I really have to give a small applause right here for the developers, because this kind of good rebalancing is kind of rare. So well done, but not complete success due to the lack of E100 and IS-4. New vehicles, and this has kind of failed in my opinion. I mean, these new Swedish mediums that were introduced with the new semi-hydro pneumatic suspension, those are great. I really think Wargaming should use the Swedish nation as a whole as main inspiration about how to do deck trees well. Except the Leo. But we also got the first wheeled vehicles, and this is what made this specific new content a bit neutral for me. So first of all, they are categorized as light tanks. This is wrong. They should be a brand new type of their own, but maybe that will come in the future. But their speed is what makes them kind of broken as hell. It's logical for wheeled vehicles, and it's an interesting new element added to the game, those new kinds of top speeds, but they have some kind of Captain America vibranium shields as wheels that can absorb pretty much any caliber of shells. I mean, these vehicles, I'm not even going to call them tanks, are making your gameplay so much more limited. You will get spotted faster if the player in that vehicle decides to, but unlike light tanks, they can disengage far faster. Although recently I saw an article that those wheeled vehicles make ruffle stomps, those 50-0 games, far less likely, because the intentions and pushes of each team gets noted faster, which can lead on to some good counters towards expected lemming train. I really don't know how much salt I have to take with this, but in the end it led quite some frustrations, especially in my TDs on open maps. So, what do we get more this year? Only British lights, which in contrary to the wheeled vehicles are completely garbage, in a way that they only exceeds in penetration, not even concealment, even though they are marketed as very good concealed vehicles, while the wheeled vehicles are actually better concealed, even though they are a bit bigger, so yeah, logic. And we gotten the new double barrel tanks, but well, not the tech tree, because Wargaming was just too keen on having the first premium one behind the loot boxes gambling paywall. So only 1 out of 3 new editions, new tech trees actually succeeded. It's just a majority that is more harmful or just not fun adaptations to the game. Ranked battles also failed. I only played the first 10 battles before you can get a rank, but those 10 battles were still so frustrating. I almost made a video out of it showing how angry I got during those games. But subjective matters aside, for the composed competitive player, the last season was pretty much the best one technically wise. However, it was kind of ruined by the newest OP only for the best player competitive tanks. Mainly I'm talking about the Object 279E and the T95 FV42 fake chieftain tank, which absolutely broke the game mode and made it even worse than I anticipated. In Clan Wars made it a bit neutral for me at the end. Not played it really, but I think that it's in the same state as ranked battles for that matter. The Bond shop. Well, finally the first point that is actually a success on this list. Although it took a while to actually get tanks for bonds, it is still within the year, unlike some of the other. I think the bond shop is at a good state. Still not a huge fan of the improved equipment, but I can't wait to see more exclusive tanks appear. Unfortunately, I think that bonds will become more and more payable for money, like it's already now for a bit. So let me explain in the next point, which is premium account, which is a huge failure in my opinion. So last year I glanced over this matter as not very interesting, but I thought something else last year about my biggest fear in the direction that wargaming might go, and that was sneaky pay to win, and they have done it. Oh boy, they've done it. Not in your face obvious, of course, but that was the whole part of the fear. Sneaky pay to win. No, we got the new premium account, which in itself is pretty good with the extra XP and credits in platoons, credit bank and extra missions. There are still 2 things in there that are secretively pay to win. 1 minor and 1 major thing. First, you got the ability with premium account to block a second map, which was around the same time that you could also normally block 1 map by itself. Again, in itself, it's a good thing, although they haven't done anything with the results yet. Making it possible to block an extra map with mostly paid premium account is a form of pay to win, because players are going to block maps which they hate because they play bad on it most of the times. Again, not a major point, but still a necessary thing to include. But the major thing is in one of the mission rewards you can earn: bonds. Yes, no more are bonds the fully non-payable currency anymore. If you want to just earn some extra bonds so you can buy better improved equipment, you can just buy it through this new premium account. Moving on to camel styles, which at least was a success again. Unfortunately, is not the main way to monetize the game as it should be. Tank races, which evolved a little bit towards Tank Festival, which in itself was a great success. A lot of activities, fun modes like Steel Hunt and Tank Rally were very enjoyable. Homefront was a little bit more still and had that limited fuel problem, but in general this was a great long-term event with some interesting new elements added into the game. Generally, I concluded last year that I was curious to see how this would all work out. That I didn't have trust in wargaming actually satisfying the player base after all the things they've done wrong in the past. And even though most of the promises either were not done or failed in my opinion, the year itself was quite, well, peaceful. No huge proportional yearly drama like the Sir Forge incident or the preferential matchmaking removal. They actually rebalanced the Type 5 in a good way, although it took them over 2 years. But in the end, we still got those loot boxes fest with exclusive things that you can only unlock by gambling. This is just so wrong on so many levels. And after last year doing it with the i3A, it really shows that Wargaming doesn't learn or just doesn't care. And I still don't think they will come up with major changes that actually will improve the game quality, but it will improve the spending quality to milk as much money out of the game. Personal life. So yeah, still kind of a depressing note to the end of the year for the game. But is at least my real life any better? Well, I find it hard to judge, but it's definitely not been a great year. So last year I made a New Year's resolution to play World of Tanks for fun and relaxation. So this way I would get far less dominate pressure and frustrations while playing, or direct myself towards that mentality. And for a while I made it work for months until real life started knocking on the door and started to be frustrating in itself. It was in May that things went kind of the wrong way. So first of all, my mother had to be hospitalized urgently due to her lungs really started to insert far less oxygen than it actually would require. And I was there meeting her in the state in the morning. It wasn't the fact that I just saw my mother in that state that really got to me, but it was just being there from the morning for hours all the way until she was carried away inside of an ambulance. It was just that I felt so powerless during that time. I couldn't do anything. I mean, she's doing far better right now though. Also at the same time, my internship was also headed towards a brick wall. Pretty much all the work I've done since the beginning of the internship, like 3 months of work, was deemed inadequate, and that in combination with my mother really tuned up my insecurities and frustrations, which I then directed towards pretty much the only outlet I felt comfortably doing so, and that was World of Tanks. This led towards some of the biggest rage quits I ever had, where before I left I just yelled out how much frustration of the game, which I tried to keep down for this while, are just so similar towards my real life, calling the game a real life simulator when frustrating RNG things started to happen. Like in this battle right here. I was doing very well in this battle, racking up one of my highest damage scores, but on this point, facing the IS-7, I got tracked, killing me and turned this match into a defeat, which left me in a tantrum about how this is just so typical. I'm doing my utmost best and it's just not enough, like always, etc, etc. And this was not an isolated occurrence. It happens 2 more times, one of which I didn't really remember anymore, maybe for the better, but also one where I rage quitted during or right after a clan battle where I felt so ashamed for just leaving some of my clan members who want to keep on battling together. But I was really fed up about everything. In general, it was just the negative things that outdone the positive. I even took a break from World of Tanks for all around a month. My longest break ever from the game since I started playing in 2013, but definitely necessary. Now I'm not in a depression or so, and it's not like I have a depression video. No, it's going better at the moment. These bad times just happen so now and then, and it just passed away. Nowadays I view my life more neutral, like many of the wargaming promises. So what brings this for the future? So let's take a look on what 2020 has to offer for World of Tanks. Because they released another announcements article, now called a fresh preview of 2020. Oh boy, I wonder how many points they will fuck up this year. Okay, remember, neutral expectations, neutral expectations. So let's see what they are planning for this year. So 2020 marks the 10th anniversary of World of Tanks, and they are going to celebrate it in a kind of a tank festival extra large edition. with more stages over a longer period of time. And I'm looking forward to this. Tank Festival worked great, so I expect in a neutral way for this event to be better or at least to be as good as this year's Tank Festival. Crew 2.0. This is quite a change with the commander taking all crew places, redesigning the internal perk system and increasing the amount of perk towards 25. So I think that the commander will kind of work like a captain in World of Warships with different perks on different skill directions. I also expect that the Six Sense, like World of Warships, will become a standard perk that is available right from the start. I do need some more information about the whole unit thing, but in general it looks promising. I think that they have little chance to fuck up this one, although you can have some perks or skills or some new perks or skills that are a little bit too good or a little bit too bad, but it's really the same since forever, and some of the perks are currently already mandatory or not usable. Equipment reworking like crew, also undergoing a complete redesigning to make more equipment more interesting instead of the standard quintuple that you have now. The gun rammer, vertical steps, gun line drive, coated optics and fence. Creating unique combat styles, new balances. These are quite a few, so let's get into it. More HP for low tiers, great, definitely necessary, because right now every shot is more punishing than on higher tiers. All shell types rework, still in development, since the previous year. More damage on AP was already kind of good in my books, but the HE shells definitely needs to be fine-tuning, like keeping it the same for the real derp guns from 105 caliber or higher instead of killing off the KV2 and tanks alike. And rebalancing SPGs, a good attempt, but I don't think it's really going to make the difference. I mean, they are trying to make a new premium HE ammunition type that doesn't have the stunning damage but will increase the damage alongside the general HP buff. But I think that most of players will still be using the damage and stun rounds like it's pretty much right now. But reintroducing AP makes shotgunning a nice possibility again. Frontline and Steel Hunter. Unless there are more new maps, Frontline is pretty much dead to me. Steel Hunter was great, but don't make the same mistakes in Frontline and keep a good amount of variation vehicle wise or map wise within this game mode if you want to make it more times a year available. Stream Wars, getting a voiceover of a streamer inside the game, also something that World of Warships did. Nice adaptation. I find it really great to see that the different games are somewhat communicating, or World of Tanks is just stealing from World of Warships. But I hope that they will look more to each other's successful additions and maybe also learn from each other's mistakes. PvE event, you better make up for the cancelled Halloween event, but I'm kind of curious about this one, where you fight on the final frontier of World War II, Berlin. The Battle Pass. Good addition for long-term rewards so players keep on playing, but don't make it anything which includes paying gold or money. New vehicles, so we already know about the double-barreled USSR line. Alongside, there are also going to be Italian heavy tanks with auto reloaders and a secret tech-free line. But the Italian autoloaders wouldn't be interesting, and they are following the great formula which is the Swedish nation in terms of uniqueness. Also follow this example on vehicle balancing, please, Wargaming. New maps, Berlin and Pearl River. I'm curious about Berlin. Don't think I ever had a problem with Pearl River, unlike fucking Highway. So I keep my hopes up for that also not being really bad. I hope. Please don't make it bad. So in general, less grand game changes like premium ammo rebalancing, which is pretty much a copy paste from past year, but a lot of changes on user-friendly builds via Commander and equipment, and festivities in the theme of the 10th anniversary. I think again that World of Tanks will not improve in game quality, but at least user quality improvements is a step I look forward to. So personal, no New Year's resolutions for me this time. In 2020 I only want to keep up my neutral expectations as much as possible. However, in 2020 I will graduate. That might be my resolution. And I will start a full-time job in the field of urban engineering. This can make 2020 a busy year of adaptation to work or even moving out of my parents' house, but that really is unsure as of right now. I might even get a new PC because my laptop is kind of showing some aging problems in the recent months. My YouTube channel. I will stop predicting when my video storage will be empty because that might be the next series lurking around, and even then I have a weekly upload planned out all the way to July. And with that planning, I still have so much in my storage that I actually need to upload twice a week next year. So this way I can clean up my internal video storage. And when I have a lower amount of stored videos, I will go back again towards the once per week upload. The twice a week upload might get a little bit too much in combination with my real life, but I will try it as long as possible. But if you notice some inactivity, it's probably because I either am working hard on my new job or found it another interest or hobby. My editing program, DaVinci Resolve, is still being kind of a dick time to time with audio cuts and even a very weird glitch that crashed the whole program. So if you see no videos, it might also be that DaVinci Resolve is just getting too annoying to work with anymore. So before I end the video, I have one question for you, because I recently had some interesting topics in my mind to maybe also share on YouTube. I never did it because I was not really keen on doing more English speech videos or more editing for that matter. But one of the topics was the best way to complete the tiny box missions, aka the New Year's puzzle. Shuffle. I don't know how those missions, the missions where you got those tiny boxes for decoration. Which tanks were best suited for it, and what do you have to look out for if you want to complete as much of those daily missions ASAP. Furthermore, I noticed that I missed some of the smaller and detailed topics being discussed on bigger World of Tanks channels like Quickie Baby and Dash Games. So if you are interested in these detailed news or advice videos, let me know in the comments. And maybe there will also be an update to the whole light tank analysis series from almost 2 years ago. With that, I wish you all the best in 2020. Until next time, laters!